You're watching Backpages tonight. Welcome back to you at home. Welcome back to the Guardian Sports Night. Jonathan New and the Telegraph's chief football writer, Sam Wallace. Okay, Manchester United, the gift that keeps on giving. We're heading to the Mirror, and once again, comments from one of their former players in Roy Keane, laying into Manchester United, it says in David McDonald's piece, and into his start, Bruno Fernandes and his Old Trafford teammates labeling them imposters. Right, Sam, where are we at with this? Because, we've seen this completely inconsistent form with Manchester United, and yet Bruno Fernandes has been, behind a lot of assists and a lot of goals for Manchester United in the recent past, even though their form has been up and down. So how do you see it? Well, I don't think it matters how I see it. I think it's all about how Roy Keane sees it. And he's definitely not having that argument that Bruno Fernandes has saved United. I mean, it was a pretty astonishing debate, and I suppose it's the kind of premium football content that every podcast is reaching for. But Keane is kind of like the protector of the flame at United. He stands, I think, amongst the supporters for everything that was good about that era. He joined in '93, didn't he, after the first Premier League title? And he's such a famous player not just because of what he did on the pitch, because of his personality as well. And it was such a kind of impassioned debate with Ian Wright. And I could see where Ian Wright was coming from, because when you watch United, I was at Goodison on Saturday, Fernandes is clearly their most talented player. He is the best signing by a long way of the post-Ferguson era. And I think he probably would have got in a few of those Ferguson teams. He's certainly the only one at the moment that would have done. And so Ian Wright was forming a pretty reasonable argument. But I'm afraid that the years have passed and Keane has just seen enough of this team, and of Bruno in particular. It's funny because years ago they used to say about the Liverpool teams of the 90s and the noughties that there were far too many famous ex-Liverpool players working in punditry. People like Alan Hansen and Mark Lawrenson who were talking about the old days, but that's nothing compared to the number of former Manchester United players who won Premier League titles now talking about the current generation. And it just goes on and on and on. And there's plenty of them on Sky as well. So I think for the United players, the weight of history is pretty heavy indeed. Yeah. We heard from Keane not so long ago, Wayne Rooney as well, weighing in with his views on his former club, imposters. Jonathan, what do you make of that particular term? Yeah, I guess it's implication of fraudulence. The fact that he's almost stealing a wage. He's cheating the club. Of all the players, of all the United players, I'm playing the game now. Because this is the cycle of opinions and whatever a man says thing on podcasts, and then newspaper prints thing, that man said, and then TV show debates thing, that newspaper said. But of all the players at United to pick on, somebody like Bruno Fernandes, who has, I think, carried this club at times, certainly carried certain of his teammates when things have been really down in the doldrums for them, who has adapted, who has shifted, who has adapted his game to a litany of new coaches coming through, like a revolving door. And yeah, I think this is the part of the job that certainly Amorim underestimated. I think a lot of United managers do when they come in. The fact that in my email inbox, usually it's more the spammy inbox these days, it's like some email from a betting website. Louis Saha says this, Philip Morin has some opinion about Diogo Dalot, David Bellion thinks that the current team wouldn't play with his kids' team today. Just this constant economy of opinions and opinions and opinions on Manchester United, which then have to be dissected like they're serious opinions. They are worthy of our time. Sorry, I've taken up about 2 minutes of your time with all this, but it's a game that we all play, right? But I don't. Does it help Manchester United win football matches? I don't think so. That's the point of the entire ramble there. So if you'd like to comment on social media about what Jonathan New has said, about what a newspaper has said, about what's said on the podcast, please feel free to, and continue the cycle. Joaquin yesterday was particularly forceful about Bruno Fernandes in the way that he tends to be. What is your assessment of Bruno as your captain and the impact he's having on your team at the moment? Yeah, I heard about that. I have a different opinion. Bruno is really important for us in the club, special for me. He's playing well in the difficult context. He wants always the responsibility. I know that sometimes as a captain, he does things like with his arms, and sometimes you see it in the criticizing the teammate. I think most of all, it's a lot of frustration for this year and the last year and the others. He wants to win, and sometimes it's really hard to deal with that frustration. But like I said, everybody has an opinion. Joey has big standards from him in time, and it's normal to have an opinion. I have an opposite opinion, and I think it's more important, my opinion, than Joey, because I'm the coach, I think he's doing things quite well.